it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this gorgeous Stardust Scarf. This is a lovely and festive little scarf that you can stitch up with some really easy stitches. We're going to be using some chains, some single crochets and double crochets, and that's it. And it makes this lovely textured stitch. Now I'm using some very glittery yarn, but you can really use any yarn you like. And this works equally for a solid color or variegated or self-striping yarn. It works with any of those yarns. And if you have some variegated yarn or self-striping, try testing it with a swatch to make sure it's kind of displaying the colors in the way you want them to. But this is a lovely little scarf, super easy to stitch up. So you can find the written pattern on the Flux blog for this. The full video tutorial we'll be sharing today. And then the ad-free PDF can also be found in my Etsy shop. All the links are below for all three things I mentioned. The finished scarf measures about 72 inches long and 7 inches wide. So it's a nice generous size, but I'm going to show you later on in the video how to change the width if you want to adjust the multiples. Or the length by simply working more or less rows. So it is customizable, or you can just kind of follow along with the stitch count that I'll be using as well. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a ruler will be super helpful to get the exact size that you want if you want to change it up at all, either the width with the multiples or the length with working more rows. We're going to be using a 6.5 millimeter K crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey in the purple. Now for our yarn, this is some really fun gold sparkly yarn. It's very, very festive. This is called Flash It from Hobie. I'm going to be using 6 balls of this yarn to make our project. And each ball of this is 98 yards. So I'll be using 6 balls of this. So that's a total of 588 yards. Now, if you need to substitute, now again, this is called Flash It by Hobie, and this is the gold. It's color 01. If you need to substitute yarn though, just look on your yarn label, and we're going to be using, this is a 4 medium on the yarn weight scale. You can look at your yarn label and there's a little ball of yarn pictured with a number in it normally. This is a 4 medium, that'll be your yarn weight. And this yarn recommends the K crochet hook. So as long as you have a medium 4 yarn that recommends this K hook, you'll be just fine. So you can use, whatever you want for that. So let's get started. Okay, so we have our yarn and our hook and we're ready to go. So I'm going to pull a little bit of yarn out. Now our starting chain is going to be 26 chains. However, the multiple is any even number. So if you want to make your scarf wider or narrower, just work with any even number when you do your starting chain. You can take this wider and make a really fancy shawl, etc. So we're going to do a starting chain of 26. And I'm going to zoom way in so you can see what I'm doing here. So to begin, what we're going to do is begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. So what we're going to do is wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up that loop and tighten. So again, our starting chain is 26. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. So here is our starting chain. It'll give you kind of a rough view of your width of your scarf, okay? So this pattern is super easy. We're going to do 1 row to kind of set things up, and then we're going to do row 2, and that will be the row that we repeat for the entire rest of the pattern, okay? This is a very easy pattern. After a couple rows, it's pretty easy to memorize. So for row 1, what we're going to do, this loop does not count. In the second chain from the hook, so go 1, 2, we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. So in that chain, to make a single crochet, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops, single crochet. Then in that same chain, we're going to work a double crochet. Wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into that same chain, Bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, and that's it. Then what we're going to do is skip a chain, and in the chain after that, we're going to do the same thing. So single crochet, double crochet, all in the same chain. Super easy. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, do the same thing. Single crochet, double crochet. And we're just going to do this all the way across. Skip a chain, in the next chain, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Just like that. Skip a chain, in the next chain, work a single crochet and a double crochet. I'm going to get a little bit more yarn off my yarn ball here. All right, skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Skip a chain, in the chain after that, work a single crochet and then a double crochet. And then in that very last chain, we're going to work just 1 single crochet. So skip the next chain, and in the chain after that, work a single crochet. Just like that, okay? So now we have the beginnings of our scarf. So let's move on to row 2 next. Row 2, like I said before, is the row that will repeat for the entire rest of the project, okay? So for row 2, what we'll do is chain 1 and turn. Now, we're going to be working into the stitches of these clusters that we just created. So if you kind of turn your work towards you a little bit, you can see these clusters that we made with the single crochet and double crochet. At the top of each one, there's kind of like a loop. You can kind of pull it apart and see that. Okay, here's a cluster, here's a cluster. They're kind of shaped, they're sort of cone shaped, okay? So in each one of those, we're going to do the same thing we did in the previous row, okay? So here's our little cluster here. So in that one, we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. Hop over to your next cluster, and you can see that loop at the top of it if you kind of open it up a little bit. We're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet. Move over to your next cluster, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Hop over to the next cluster group, work a single crochet and a double crochet into that seam stitch. Just like that. All right, so we're just going to keep doing this all the way across. Go into that next cluster. You can kind of like pull things apart and look and see kind of where you're at. Go in that next stitch of that cluster, single crochet and a double crochet in that seam stitch. Next grouping, work a single crochet and a double crochet. Next stitch of that cluster. Now you will see there is a loop here in between. You don't want to work into that. You want to just go find that cluster of stitches that you created and look for that hole at the top, okay? It's pretty pronounced. You can see it pretty easily. Okay, go into that next cluster, work a single crochet and a double crochet all in that same stitch. Next cluster group here, work a single crochet and a double crochet all in that same stitch. Next cluster, single crochet and a double crochet all in that same group. Next cluster of stitches, single crochet, double crochet. Next cluster of stitches, single crochet and double crochet all in the same stitch. And then we are towards the end here. We get a little bit more yarn. All right, and as we come down to the end of the row, we have one last cluster here that I see. So we're going to work a single crochet and a double crochet all in that same stitch. And then you'll see a little stitch at the end here. It's kind of like off to the side. You might have to like look for it a little bit. But we're going to finish off our row by working a single crochet in that last stitch to finish off the row. Okay, so row 2 is complete. And let me just zoom out so you can see it a little bit better. It looks really pretty. It's starting to look very glittery. So what you're going to do to keep going with your scarf is to just keep repeating row 2 over and over and over. Now you can back up the video at any time. YouTube has a slow motion feature that you can also slow down if you want to watch the row a few more times. Just keep repeating row 2 over and over and over again until your scarf is as long as you would like it to be. Okay, so I've worked quite a bit of rows here. So you're just going to keep going until you've used up all your yarn or you get the length that you need. Again, I am going to go to about 72 inches long and use up all 6 balls of my yarn. But you can kind of go as far as you want to. You can make it shorter for a child size or very long too as well. So keep going with your rows and we'll rejoin in just a minute to do some finish work. Okay, we're just working our last stitch of our scarf here, and our scarf is complete, and as you can see it looks very pretty. It's a soft gold, it's got a lot of sparkle. So now we're ready to cut the yarn and fasten off. So just cut it, wrap it around the hook, pull it through that loop, and then just kind of snug that knot down. This is reversible. Our fabric here is reversible, so whether you did sparkly yarn or not, it'll look nice on both sides. It looks the same. So grab one of your ends, and what you're going to do is just thread your tapestry needle and then just go in one direction through the stitches. Try to stay in the middle of these plies of yarn because like I said, it's reversible. So you want it to not show on either side, okay? So I'm just going through the center of the yarn plies here. We're going to go in one direction and we're going to come back in the other direction. And feel free to kind of go through the strands of yarn too. It kind of holds them in a little more snug. All right. And then I like to come back in the other direction. It kind of locks that tail into place. And then give your tail a little tug, snip it. And then when you straighten it up, it'll sort of disappear. Okay. So just repeat that for your other ends if you have them. So our scarf is complete. We have all the ends woven in and it looks absolutely beautiful and completely festive. So that is how you crochet the Stardust Scarf. Thanks so much for watching and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.